Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. It's a lovely, cold Wednesday night, and we're going to be playing some Symbaroum, as we are known to do on a Wednesday. It's been a couple of weeks since the last session, which was the first of the year in turn. So it's all a bit dishevelled at the moment, but don't you worry. We'll find a regular rhythm again sometime soon, probably, maybe. Guaranteed, probably, maybe. So, in the spirit of my new speedy intros, check down below for links, all the kind of things you might expect. We're live on YouTube and Twitch if you have a preference for one or the other. And check below for all the usual good stuff. We are going to bring on our lovely players while my cat yawns from the boredom of my intro in the background. And then we'll get going with more Symbaroum. And we'll start this week, I think, with Chris, as we usually do. Chris, who plays Steo, former infantryman, town guard, turned adventurer, sellsword, warrior, curmudgeon, all that good stuff. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Yeah, doing okay. Certainly not suffering from a bad case of societal collapse over here in Ireland. Everything's fine. Thanks for asking.
That's all right. And how? I keep asking people what does Steo think? What does Aaron think of the current events? I guess the story isn't continuing at the exact pace to make that worthwhile each and every week. So instead, I will ask you what Steo's favorite color is.
Oh, is it going to be black? I think it's got to be black. Black like my heart.
Steo is a surprise goth.
Yeah, probably.
Fair enough. Well, then, let's reel on the next player. Let's bring on Stephen. Stephen plays Elindra, former Templar novice, turned all the same things as Steo. How are you, Stephen?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm okay. Is society collapsing where you are?
I don't know. I haven't left the house in so long that I'm not sure what society's doing.
I've heard of this society, but I've never seen it.
I'm letting it get on without me, really.
Yeah, that sounds for the best. Well, in the spirit of continuing the theme, what is Elindra's favorite color?
I don't know really. Like you could kind of sort of say like a Prios yellow, but I think it's probably something more drab than that, a brown or a green.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't.
I'm very disappointed that my players haven't put serious thought into this question for each of the
Cerulean. Aquamarine. Yeah.
There's a real variety going on there. Okay. Let's bring on Sam, who presumably has been thinking very hard about what Askarai's favorite color might be. But first, Askarai, changeling, ranger, scout, archer. Mostly the arrows kill things in one shot. Sometimes that's enemies and sometimes that's his friends. Sam, how are you?
Good. Great. Even. Excited for Symbaroum.
What are your thoughts on society, broadly? If you could sum up society in one word, what would it be?
Fine. Actually, no. Not fine. That's 2 words.
That's
but
two
fitting.
words.
I still feel that it fits.
See, so the fact that you broke, you denied the original question implies to me that what you're really doing there is taking a subversive dig at the disintegration of the societal contract.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So what's Askarai's favorite color?
I am going to go yellow. Feel like that's a good one.
Yeah. Tell me why in no less than 1,000 words.
Okay. Well, I first thought maybe it's going to be something foresty. Maybe he's never seen another color until he was like 20.
He's not seen anything but green and brown.
Exactly. Exactly. Like it's got to be like
Never seen the sky.
some like green, brown, maybe like orange. And I thought, you know, what's a good one? Yellow. That's kind of a cool color that you would see in the forest that you could grab me like, I like that color. Nice plants, autumn leaves, a
Yeah,
great color.
a great color.
Nothing to do with Prios
No,
whatsoever.
maybe you would be disappointed when you realize it's the Prios color. And,
Exactly.
yeah, good stuff. I can already see at the bottom from the webcam because John had been stepped away for a little bit, and I can see John looking very confused. Let's bring him on. Also, I would say I still don't have Aaron's art, so you might want to show that up yourself, John. And while you do that, while you're actively doing something, I'm going to ask you questions. How are you, John?
I'm fine, apart from a slightly sore throat that has come on mysteriously quickly.
Great. That's what we like to hear. That's going to think of it. It's going to make tonight a little adventure for you, isn't it?
It just means that I need to be a more of a listening role player than a talking role player. And I think all good role players need to find the balance between those two things.
It's true. It's true. So
That's my argument.
You heard that, folks. You won't get the usual loud, brash John role playing tonight.
No. We're doing very demure this week.
Demure, mindful. And what's Arendar's favorite color?
Red.
I mean, that's an easy
Obviously,
one to answer.
yeah.
He's wearing that.
Yeah.
He's presumably picked that.
It is the main color of the House Star coat of arms.
There we go.
Says I. If there's canon that counteracts that, then I'm sorry, but
there is not, because
now
I mean, you made up House Star, so
no, it's referenced in the book.
it's in the book, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it is massively so. You know what? I don't think I've ever checked, because it lists all the noble houses in the Darkest Star, and I've never checked to see if there's Darland. I don't think there is, but that would be a bit annoying.
It's going to be a hell of a plot bomb if and when it lands.
Yeah. Maybe.
Dar, famous for their use of pink in their coat of arms.
Maybe I should check that.
Rulers of Darland.
There's an entire duchy called Darland. Good stuff. Okay. So as usual, a little bit of a thing. A little bit of a recap from last time. So you were in Indaros on business of your own. And while you're minding your own business, for the most part, a whole bunch of meteors slammed into the Cathedral of Martyrs, ruining the Sun Duchess's wedding rehearsal. This sounds like it's a joke, but that's literally what happened. Lots of people died. The meteors called down an odd, kind of area of corruption around them, which pulled fire spirits into people and made them possessed and run away and kill people and set things on fire. In short, a fairly horrible disaster. You were on hand to rescue the Sun Duchess Esmeralda, and under her kind of like orders is maybe too strong a word, but at her request, you did some investigation on the site, found a number of things awry that suggested foul play of some sort. One of those things was the fact that you're fairly sure a prisoner being held under the Cathedral of Martyrs had been rescued, captured, something, and taken away by wrongdoers unknown. You've been following the trail of this at the request of the Duchess, with the thought that it's probably quite a time-sensitive mission. And essentially, you are trying to find your way via some investigations of a bakery and the bathhouse. You are trying to find your way to somewhere called Plob 17, which you have found out is a dwarf term. And I believe, you found out what a plob is, right? Yeah. So it's like an underpass, like a route in the foundations of the city. You don't know where Plob 17 is, though. and there's still a question mark over how you're going to get that information. There's a number of relevant things. You made contact with the bathhouse manager, a changeling called Grimorio, who seems to run or be involved in the running of a gang in Indoros called the Shamans. He is happy to tell you where Plob 17 is if you go steal some stuff and burn down a warehouse from another crime lord called Nobleman Dastan. But also, there's a little bit of a connection in that Arindar has not a friend, but a dwarven acquaintance who it's possible you might be able to get in contact with. In general, you haven't talked to any dwarves, in point of fact, about Plobs or Plob 17. So there's still a question mark over that. But also, in addition to the time pressure, there is a curfew tonight in Indoros, which kicks off at midnight and will run through to 5 a.m. So that kind of messes with stuff as well. You've also got at some point tomorrow, you will apparently be contacted by an agent of the Sun Duchess with presumably to relay information back to Esmeralda, but also perhaps to relay. You're not quite sure. You're also, I guess, not entirely sure how that agent will make contact. Though it's probably a safe bet that they would want to find you at a reliable location, such as the tower where you are staying. I think that's about it. Is that everything? That feels like everything. There's a bunch of other stuff, but it's not important to understand what's directly going to happen now. And what's directly going to happen now is you are in the early evening. I think you're not going to hang around the baths much longer after receiving this offer from Grimorio. Could you remind me who is? I don't think everyone is there.
Me and Father Anton went in to talk to Grimorio, and Ascarai is wandering around disguised as someone or something.
I think that role failed, so I think Ascarai is wandering around disguised as Ascarai.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not doing anything important.
Which, for all the fan fiction writers out there, of course, means that he's dressed in nothing but a loincloth and a mask. Just putting that out there. And being really good at archery will probably give you a pretty good body. Look, that's all I'm saying. For anyone out there, that's all I'm saying.
You're trying to shift our demographics, aren't you?
I gotta do something. So, where are Steo and Alindra? Are you just kind of hovering outside, or did you have any?
We were outside. I think we were patrolling the streets in a kind of spiral, looking for signs with 17 on them.
Right, sure.
To see if we could just stumble across Plob 17. I guess we don't know what a Plob is right now because they haven't come out to tell us.
And we have it on fairly good authority that it's in this area of town, isn't it?
Yeah. We were under the impression that it was nearby, and so it is worth looking. So yeah, we're panning the streets basically.
Can I ask where you got the impression that it was somewhere nearby?
That is a good
something
question.
I've Mandela affected into my head. I just understood that
I think it is.
It's
okay.
It's because
Go
ahead, Darren.
From the information that Ascarai got from the bakery goblin, that he said something. It's not that it's nearby, but he mentioned the baths as a waypoint.
Yes, the steam bath got mentioned in the same kind of half-heard conversation about finding the way to Plob 17. So we wondered if it was like a landmark.
It's okay, sure. That's. I think it's a leap. But if you want to have made that leap, obviously, all you know about the conversation under the bakery is they mentioned Plob 17 at one point, and they mentioned the steam baths at another point. So yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we're around. I guess we either find something or we don't, and at some point we'll regroup.
Fair enough. Well, shall we have that regrouping now? Because that feels like an appropriate point in which to have the regrouping. let's have Askarai and Arendar and Anton emerge from the steam baths, and as you do so, Steo and Alindra are returning to the doorway. Just make it convenient, really. You've probably got, let's say you've got somewhere between 4 and 5 hours until the tolling of 12 bells.
You all look like you've seen a ghost. I suppose that went better than our walk.
In a way, perhaps. We know what a plob is. We may have also been asked to do some tasks that we may or may not want to do in exchange for further information.
Go on.
Oh, well, my efforts to contact Moretco were unsuccessful, but I managed to gain an audience with the owner of the bathhouse, who is a rival of the Moretcos, but very helpful, and told us that a plob is the dwarven word for the underpasses in the city. And then said that he would give us further information where, for example, 17 is, if we broke into a warehouse and burnt it down.
Burning it down.
Talking.
Sorry, burning it down is not the task.
Oh,
the task
broke
is,
into a warehouse and stole a crate.
Yes. He just said that if you wanted to burn it down on your way out, he would be delighted. But the task is just to bring him a crate.
The instructions in my out of character notes from last session said that we were supposed to steal something from a crate and burn the other crates, and preferably the whole building is what I got.
Sure, yeah.
So we get told the location of this underpass in exchange for crime.
Yes.
I love a bit of crime, me.
That's surprising.
Crime with a capital C, I think. I think that is worth bearing in mind. I think that when you do one job for these people, you don't do one job for these people. That's not how things tends to work.
I imagine that Arendar is actually the one among you who has probably been exposed to the kind of organized crime it's in Indaros way more than the other three of you. Askarai probably not at all. Lindra probably, if anything, and Steo maybe on the other side of it a little bit. But even that, like the organized crime in Thistlehold, is nothing compared to what it is in Indaros. So, yeah, Arendar's definitely got a life to back up this point of view a little.
I would imagine that living in the refugee camp and the slums, for a lot of people, the main career prospect is going to be,
100%. And also the point of view on crime there will be murky, because at the same time that they're exploiting people and doing crime on them and recruiting their children to do it and stuff like that, at the same time, they're probably the closest those areas have to people who are keeping the peace, who aren't just walking in occasionally beating people up and leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really layered dynamic. But also the point of view will definitely broadly be, if you can get away without being involved, don't be involved.
Okay. What are our options here? We can go do this job to get the information. Do we have any other way of finding this out?
Well, we go day by day, don't we? Because right now our job really is turn up to the meeting tomorrow with enough information to not insult or disappoint the noble lord who is now our accidental patron.
That's our job for tomorrow. Our job for right now, if we can, is find where this prisoner is being kept.
I think we might already have enough information to take the meeting tomorrow, but we need to follow up on this as fast as possible because who knows how long they're going to be in this location that we're looking for.
Yeah.
What do you know about the warehouse, John? Aaron?
That it is
Burn if you
owned
want.
by a gentleman called Nobleman Dastan, and there should be, Grimorio said, 4 or 5 guards, but
The warehouse is in Old Kadazar, which is the original city. Well, it's actually. Let's very briefly touch on the history of Lindaros. I said Lindaros because Lindaros is Indaros. So the city as a whole, the ruins that Indaros is built on, was a city-state called Lindaros that fell a few hundred years ago. In the intervening time, a barbarian clan called the Jezites set up a city here. Was it the Jezites or were those in Thistlehold? Those were in Thistlehold. Another barbarian clan, I can't remember. Another barbarian clan had a settlement here, which was called Kadazar. And obviously the Ambrians swept over it as part of their taking of the lands of Ambria. But Kadazar is still present in Indaros. It still has the walls, although somewhat tumbled down and battered. And people still live in there. It is, apart from the refugee camps and the slums, the poorest part of the city, a place where a lot of industry happens, such as tanning, which always makes a place smell great. And you will know this, Arendar. You have definitely heard of Nobleman Dastan before. He's also known as the Thief King of Indaros, and he basically informally rules Old Kadazar. And what I mean by that is he's embedded himself so hard into the community there that Corinthia's agents and soldiers cannot find him and kill him. But most of what happens in Old Kadazar, he either has an interest in or determines or whatever. This is not a powerless man, at least not within Old Kadazar.
I will recount that to the group.
So what I'm hearing here is while this is capital C crime, it's a crime of convenience for the Colonors. Like, I don't think they'll be leaning too heavily on us if we start a fire and piss off a crime lord.
I think anyone ruling Indaros will not be happy with people setting fires in Indaros on the day of a natural disaster.
Mm-hmm.
But
Or
also,
any time.
doesn't sound like a good guy to be on the bad side of.
No.
Best case scenario here is that we potentially have some explaining to do. Worst case scenario is we have some explaining to do, and we make a really powerful enemy. I really want to find this kidnapped person, and I really want to help the Duchess here because I think it's the best thing to do for us as well as for Ambria. I don't know if I want to do it that much.
I feel like we may be making 2 enemies if we do this. The guard commander did not seem the friendliest and made it very clear that he may want to talk to us at a later point. Yes? He will very much want to talk to us if we are found to be burning warehouses down and involved in organized crime.
The unfortunate consequence of... Sorry, Steve.
And we know the princess has no kindness in her heart for the guards based on what you were saying about the interactions there with the information that was not relayed and the tenseness she exhibited.
Yeah, I don't want
politics.
to make... I don't want to make the politics any more complicated than it has to be.
Okay, what other options do we have on the table now that we know that this one is pretty bad?
Well, we might not be welcome at the bathhouse anymore.
It has occurred to me that the man we met just before all this kicked off, he was talking to us about, the places under Inderos. And he seemed to suggest that the best place to find information that I can recall was at the cargo docks. There's kind of smugglers, unsavory characters that might know where Plob 17 is. Maybe for a bit of coin, we can get it out of them.
It's worth a walk. What do you reckon, Darrell? We survive a walk to the crime district?
You're basically at the docks now. Well, you're in the harbour district. The cargo docks. The cargo docks are where you came in, and you can walk there via the way you first walked into town, or you could take a shorter cut through Old Cadazar. Yeah.
Look, this is sounding good. At least if we get down to the waterside, I can be reminded of the blissfully peaceful waves of Lake Volgoma.
So we go to the docks and we see if we can find somebody else that's willing to part with this information for a smaller fee.
Yeah.
Guess we're looking for a dwarf still.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. How are we getting there? Are we walking around Old Cadazar like we did the first time, or are we walking through it? I mean, there's no particular reason why 5 heavily armed people should really fear for their lives walking through Old Cadazar.
I am following Arendar.
I will, unless Arendar is specifically making moves to go around Old Cadazar, I will gently make the suggestion that it might be worthwhile to walk through it and at least see what that situation looks like, but just keep walking.
I think Arendar wanted to, if we're not sure about this, almost to himself make an intentional show of not engaging with this, not looking at the warehouse, not walking into Nobleman Daston's territory.
Okay.
Not following that subquest.
So Elindra makes the suggestion, and Aaron just pretends like he doesn't hear.
Yeah.
Just cool.
Fair enough. Okay. As you stride, this time you're striding around the walls of Old Cadazar, right? Kind of on the outside of them, moving back round to the cargo docks. As you do so, you definitely can hear and see every time you kind of pass a gate or a gap in the walls that Old Cadazar seems to be much more rambunctious right now than any other bit of the city you've been in. It honestly doesn't look like many people are off the streets at all. Just maybe slightly less bustling. So for whatever reason, it doesn't seem as somber as the rest of the city. And in fact, as you walk past one of the gates, you hear a voice calling out from one of the roads just inside, and you can see it's basically like, we had someone kind of a speaker, I'm searching for the word.
A crier.
Thank you, Stephen. A crier, kind of town crier, giving the news of the day and informing everyone about the curfew. This is similar, but instead of an official town crier, it appears to be a street urchin, but performing a very similar role in that they're shouting for everyone to listen to them, and then proceed to go, "The cathedral blows up, possibly because big rocks fall on it from above. Nobleman Dastan has said that this is extremely funny."
Distasteful.
That's it.
So overall, I'm getting Dublin City Centre after the English lose a game of football vibes.
Sure, only with more, death. So, yeah, you carry on walking around the walls for, I mean, at night, it's fairly empty streets. It probably takes you about half an hour to walk around until you're back at the docks where you first came to shore from the river. The docks, again, are quite a bit more active than the rest of the city. Not the same as Cadiz are, but work just needs doing, right? The ships will not empty themselves of their cargo. So there's certainly quite a few people working, which means the taverns are open, which means, you know, all the other services and emporiums open to the river sailors are open as well. Can everyone please give me a vigilant roll -1, please? Yep. Yep. Okay. I am
Steve
now
got a 20 for you podcast listeners.
Nice. So Steo is just spotting extremely tall people. That's all that's happening. Okay. In this section of the docks, those of you who rolled vigilant can see that you can't see any dwarves. But this is only one section of the docks, and also there's plenty of other people working and going about their business. If you wanted to make any inquiries of anyone or anything like that, or go into a tavern and ask, or do anything you want, sack it off, get on a boat, travel back to Thistlehold and retire. I don't know, whatever. Buy a farm.
Right, let's do that.
I like 2 or 3 farms at this rate.
I think as I'm walking through, Alindra's just going to be kind of like speaking out loud to the others and just kind of saying, if we do find a dwarf, how do we approach this? Like, we know that this place is associated with dwarves and at least one form of crime. It seems kind of dangerous just to pick the first dwarf that we can see and be like, excuse me, can you tell us the way to your secret tunnel? Does anyone have any ideas?
I'm running out of the hope that there's any chance. Just far too many people have walked up to us and called us the heroes of the sinkhole today. At some point, caution is just wasting time.
I don't think it'll be too bad to ask a dwarf or even a non-dwarf, anyone who looks a bit suspicious. Just, I don't know. I feel like if we've got a bit of coin to back it up, why wouldn't they tell us, really?
Okay, so tavern keeper. Access to lots of information, not directly involved in anything in particular, probably happy to have the money.
Also sells pints.
It comes in pints.
Good idea, I think.
Is that the general notion then? Do you think, because we've been having this conversation as we're walking, I'm going to say there's basically 3 parts of the docks. There's one very large docking area that's sort of segmented into 2 with sort of a demarcation between them. You're not sure what that means. And then you know that there's another smaller dock a bit further up the riverfront from here. You are, I'm going to say, because you've been walking and talking, you're now kind of nearing that second area of the docks. Are you going to take a quick look there before you go in for a tavern, or are you just going to find the nearest tavern and head inside? He said.
I think we want whatever pub is in the shiftiest / dwarfiest end of the docks, which it sounds like that's what we're heading towards.
There's definitely a little bit of is there? No, it makes sense to me that the shiftiest areas of docks is the one nearest Old Cadazar, which is the one you've already nearly walked through. But
okay. I guess, well,
I'm kind of in favor of just seeing the whole docks and then deciding where we want to.
We'll walk down to the small end and we'll come back if we think that this ends better.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, well, it's probably about an hour since you left the steam baths now, and you're proceeding on to this kind of second half of the docks. Can everyone again give me a vigilant roll at -1, apart from Steo, who clearly cannot see dwarves? Yes from Arundar, yes from Ascarai.
Elintra rolled a 20.
Okay.
And then I rolled for Revelia, who passed, but is at the hotel.
Great. He's found a dwarf there. Yeah. So clearly Steo and Elindra are too tall to see dwarves. So there we go. Arundar and Ascarai, on the other hand, you're not walking far along this segment of the docks before you see a group of individuals, much shorter than normal, with the dwarves in Symbaroum they are broad and kind of a little bit chunky, hefty, but less so than most fantasy dwarves. They look far more like people of kind of generally balanced build, like a standard human build, just down, right? Just shorter, between 4 and 5 feet. And maybe a little bit broader than normal, but they don't look like stereotypical fantasy dwarves. For a start, most of them are clean shaven. So
I'm picturing something more like hobbits.
Yeah, a bit more tough looking than hobbits, and definitely taller than hobbits.
Okay.
But in terms of proportion, yeah, more similar. I guess hobbits are a bit tubby, or tend toward a bit tubby, and they're not that. But in fact, almost every dwarf any of you will have seen will have looked like they're in excellent physical condition. They seem very. Every encounter with them you've had has led you to believe they're a little bit like ascetic, like very focused, very driven individuals. But Aaron and Ascarai, you can see, like I say, a team of these dwarves having a look through and pulling cargo off a ship. I just did a roll. It's okay. Carry on.
All right.
Do they look like dock workers, or do they look?
They have the manner of dock workers. I mean, there's a whole crew of them. There's about 20 of them, and they are absolutely doing what looks like legitimate dock work. Whether the goods are is a different matter, but yeah, they're not dressed like human dock workers because they're dwarves, and as far as you can tell, all dwarves tend to dress in quite a similar, quite formal manner, of clothes that are really quite unlike human clothes. So,
Well, we've got to go talk to them.
Oh, dwarves. I feel like they might be more amenable to you, Ascarai, than to any of us. As the big, tall priest and noble and fighty kind of Ambrians.
Can you maybe try and look more like them?
I can, but then I kind of feel like I'm at risk of getting caught out by not knowing this information already.
Yeah, if a dwarf comes up to them and says, "Can you help me understand some dwarf?" Like,
is there the dwarves speak a different language, or like, do they have a different language? I think that could be
the vast majority of the time, people will only have ever heard them speaking that language. They rarely speak Ambrian. It's only if they have to. Arundar will have definitely heard. I mean, you did. There's a dwarven character in one of our stories who spoke Ambrian because he had to in that moment. But in the course of their day-to-day lives, they try not to.
I'm happy to try. Probably best that I go looking as myself. Although I'm not always the best at getting information out of people like this, but I can give it a go.
I just think if I was a dwarf looking at the rest of us, I wouldn't feel inclined to talk.
I mean, I would add that Arendar is the only one of you who's really had proper interactions with dwarves and has grown up around them. But
That's true.
and is also the character, despite it being terrible, with the highest persuasive.
It's not terrible. It's just attached to me. That's all.
I guess Elindra doesn't really know about Aaron's history with dwarfs, and maybe hasn't necessarily made the connection with him being like from Indaros. So I think
Aaron last session talked about it. Talked about like the potential of finding Vlador Moretko and like ultimately like Indaros. If you've grown up in Indaros, you've grown up around dwarves.
All right, then then Elindra might maybe less blinkered about the possibility of Aaron being the one that does the talking.
Why don't we go together, Aaron, and maybe the others stay back?
Yeah, we'll just be not with you for a bit.
Yes.
There is definitely a tavern nearby if you want to lurk outside it with a drink.
Oh, so
Yes.
those are dwarfs. Oh.
Where were you looking, Steo?
It's perfectly possible that Elindra has literally never met a dwarf. There are very few dwarves in Ambria outside of Indaros. If you haven't spent much time in Indaros, then
I think the sole extent of her interactions with dwarves is when we arrived in Indaros and she went, "What's that?" Which was later revealed to be a bad idea.
Okay. You both of you walk over. Obviously, the light is gone by this point, but there are large oil lanterns burning on posts all along the dock, so there's plenty of light to work by at least. You can see that the dwarves are very determined to kind of get the cargo off as fast and cleanly as possible. It's being stacked very precisely as wagons kind of then load it and start taking it away further into the city. Are you approaching them directly or standing nearby and waiting to be noticed, or?
I think approaching them directly.
Yes. My memory of Vlador was that he was more open to the direct approach.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Okay. You walk up to the dwarves as one of them registers that you are walking over. Seems to be the person maybe directing the work, or at least is kind of speaking to the others in a kind of odd. Dwarven definitely sounds weird to you. It's a very kind of like a language that uses a lot of soft and hard consonants in very short order. I would say it probably sounds quite similar to kind of Eastern European languages or Cyrillic languages.
I was going to say,
and I think they've named them with that vague connection in mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, this dwarf kind of turns at you and just kind of looks at you both very unconcerned and frankly.
Good evening. I was hoping to ask for some information. I will not beat about the bush because you are a very busy gentleman, but I was hoping for some help perhaps in exchange for coin.
What kind of help? He speaks with an odd, slightly accented voice.
We're looking for directions to Underpass 17.
Why should I care about this?
We can pay you.
Why do you want the information?
I feel like That's something that we can't discuss with you. We just need to know where it is.
Not many of the families will have dealings with you. Give me some coin, and I will tell you who will.
And where to find them?
If I tell you of them, they will know of you. The coin is for a connection, but it is up to this other to determine whether they agree to that.
What do you reckon, Aaron?
I think that is an understandable way of proceeding. Will you name your price? I don't want to offer a sum that is insulting.
I don't ask, you offer.
Ah. $10.
20.
15.
Give me a persuasive roll at +5.
Success. 13 under 16.
15.
$15 it is.
Patriarch Volotsar. Some call him King of the Dwarves. Go to the depths of the Titans. Not tonight now. Tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon. Wait there. Maybe Volotsar's friends come to get you, to bring you to him. That means he accepts. Maybe they don't. That means you gave me 15 thaler for nothing.
I gave you 15 thaler for your time and effort, sir.
Let us hope that's a wise decision for your sake.
I always do.
We have work.
Thank you for your time. And I will leave them to it.
There you go. The depths of the Titans is an inn, a tavern.
Right.
It
wasn't. He didn't want you to go underneath the mountains. That would have been.
I was gonna say that will be a trek.
It was my first thought, and it was like, not tonight. I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
In a few weeks.
That is where I would expect the King of the Dwarves to be.
Yeah. Sorry, I am just feel free to go to the others and talk to them about what just happened while I find out where the depths of the Titans is.
I will do exactly that. I will go into the pub. I'll find the quiet, secluded corner that you are presumably drinking in.
Yeah.
Aaron, this ale is shit.
You're still drinking it, Steo.
It's better than no ale. You look like something not bad has happened for a change.
We have potentially an appointment with a dwarf who might help us.
The king of the dwarfs.
In name, maybe not in undisputed breeding. I don't
Okay.
entirely know how that works with dwarves.
We're running out of day. We should probably make a move.
The appointment won't be until tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, okay. Well, look, that aligns with my plan of not doing as little as possible and getting some damn rest. Is there anything else we can do? I think we're hard paused for today, unless you want to give Plan A another turn, but I'm happy to let that one die on the vine.
I'm wondering if there is anything else from the cathedral that we could follow up on tonight. We could visit the Ordo Magica. Master Furia was supposed to be there, and maybe he may be able to give us more information about the Grandmaster's last words and what they actually meant.
Perhaps.
If we can get an audience with him. I remember him being quite a cantankerous character.
Lindra, did you let the others know that you'd gone seeking him?
I don't remember telling them. There was, I think I went to visit Furia at a time that we'd sort of scattered through Thistlehold and were kind of having our individual downtime, so we weren't together. So no, probably not.
Through Inderost, you mean? Not Thistlehold.
Yes.
It was at the beginning of this story.
Yes, on the first day that we.
Yeah. You went to the Triple Towers and.
That's right, and I'd left a message.
Right? Yeah, with the doorkeeper who seemed unimpressed that someone was trying to talk to Furia in a kind of like, now I have to talk to Furia kind of way.
Yeah. Again, I don't think Elindra's mentioned that necessarily, unless anyone else can remember her speaking about
That's
it.
fair.
I don't think so.
I would remind you that another acquaintance of yours is occasionally to be found in the Triple Towers at Inderos, and said he was perhaps spending some time there and away from Thistlehold himself.
Ganderald?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, because he's Furia's apprentice, right? No, he's the other one's apprentice.
Yeah, the kind of slightly degenerate one in the dressing gown.
Yes.
I've forgotten his name, but yeah.
If we have time to drop in on Ganderald, then maybe the Order just have this information, and maybe that will come at a price that is not getting involved in crime or getting involved in dwarven royalty, which sounds a lot like getting involved in crime.
Getting involved with politics is getting involved in crime, to be honest.
Ganderald studies the elves, so maybe there's someone else at the Ordo who studies dwarves and hasn't somehow annoyed them enough.
Is there a way we can spin it that he still owes us money?
No, I think he's very forthcoming with his payments.
Yeah.
We could just say we want to see him because he's our friend.
It's close enough, isn't it, to make it there and back before curfew?
Regardless of...
you're pushing it. That'd be certain. And also exactly how much anyone in the Triple Towers would want to come speak to you in the evening is quite late in the evening is debatable.
Yeah, maybe this is...
Is this something we do in the morning before we go to this other tavern then?
Well, also we need to be in the tower to be findable by Esmeralda's person.
Oh, okay.
We'll put
Get
that
some
on
better
the
ale
list.
at the tower have a nice, relaxing night, wait for all this to blow over, emigrate to the shores of Lake Volgoma. Who's with me?
Agreed.
There's also, just so we don't forget them, there's definitely also a couple of other leads from the cathedral that we haven't ventured towards yet. One being a potential link to House Viara. And their, noble house, noble manor is definitely findable in the area where all the other noble houses are. And also the mysterious stranger in the cathedral with the kind of key fob. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I want to go banging on House Viara's door right now.
Haven't been the friendliest to us.
No, and we've got quite a lot of evidence that implicates them in quite a lot of serious crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think my plan's the winner then. Decent meal on your man's ticket at the tower. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
We need to investigate Viara, but we need to be smart about how we do that. It's not just walk up there and demand an audience.
We ask Esmeralda about Viara. She must know. Like, what was it you were saying that she basically got very, very coy and cagey when we mentioned that dagger? Did she not?
That was the extra body in the cathedral, the Ambry and Attache from Carvosti.
Nonetheless, it'll be good to catch up. I think the conversation with Esmeralda, should it happen, Princess Esmeralda, excuse me, should it happen,
Duchess.
Duchess. Will be in a two-directional exchange, but I think as far as tonight, we've run our course.
Grand Duchess at that.
Grand Sun Duchess.
Yeah, the Sun Duchess is her nickname. But
Yeah. Oh, okay.
She's seen as smiling and bubbly and happy, where Corinthia is not that.
I hope if and when we meet her again that it will be a two-way exchange of information. I didn't like that she lied to us. Things were simple until then, and then they became complicated.
She didn't lie to us. She lied to the guards who were standing around her.
That's what I'm hoping.
Come on, let's get out of here before the seal gives me a stomach.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, are there many places in Indaros that are like self-storage warehouses? Like, is that a common-ish thing?
Yeah. There'll be stuff like that. It wildly varies how reliable they are on them not looking at or stealing what you store there. But
Okay,
you should be able to find, and also right now you're unsure whether they'd be open or not. But
yeah. When we, or rather everyone else, had a similar key with no lock in a previous story, they went to the Queen's Legate, right?
Yes. Yes.
That may be an idea for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Although here you wouldn't have to go. There's no need for a legate. The Queen is here. The people you'd want to talk to would be the Royal Secretarium, who are basically everything administrative in the city, from planning rights to sewerage plans to intelligence agency to everything.
Not that there's any particular guarantee that the key is to anything in the city.
No. Yeah. Anyway, you return to the tower, ascend. It's probably around, you're maybe a couple of hours at most off the curfew now, and you manage to find yourself a bed and retire for the evening. Of course, it's up to you how well you sleep.
Like a brick, I imagine. Fancy hotel.
I presume that nobody has been to visit Revelia while we've been out.
She says no one's arrived.
She says no. Vigilant roll.
Is that a chicken in a cage in the corner, I see?
So obviously I can't remember how much toughness do you regain overnight. Just 1, right?
I think so.
Per day. Yeah. So regain your toughness, and you all wake in the morning. And you know what? I'll say that Revelia was first up because she probably got some rest before the others of you. And I'm going to say, Elindra, you are woken by Revelia's voice saying, "Who are you? Explain yourself."
Bolt upright.
Okay. And out of bed, presumably?
Yep.
Okay. In the main room, like the common area, there is a smiling, pleasant-faced man sat at the table, just with kind of his hands folded in front of him. He does not look to be armed in any way. He's wearing very kind of like well-made but plain clothes. You've never seen him before in your life. He is looking at Revelia, and now he looks at you and says, "You must be Sir Elindra."
Correct. And you?
"We have a mutual friend in a high place."
Go on.
"If you rouse your companions, then we can talk about the events of yesterday and the events to come."
Fine. I will start with Steo. And then
Brown fast, scrum fast.
get up, we have company.
Fucking scrum.
Don't forget your elderly roll, Chris.
Well, that's when I get my first roll.
Oh, it's when you do your first roll. Yeah.
No man's territory.
Yeah, Ascarai, Aaron.
You rouse the others,
Steo,
yeah. As each of you comes out, the man kind of smiles at each of you and patiently waits for everyone. He kind of gestures. The food is, or the servants have come and gone. The breakfast food is already laid out, and he kind of gestures for everyone to take a place. He himself has kind of plucked an apple out from a bowl.
Someone please explain to me why I slept better last night in my armor than I did the night before with nothing on. Oh.
I think it feels safer.
Yeah, slept in the forest. It felt safer. Oh, hello.
Safety is a hard thing to come by, especially in Indaros. Our mutual friend, first of all, wishes me to make sure that you feel that you have had due reparation for your part in yesterday's events. That reparation does not cover things you have done in our friend's service yet, simply the events of yesterday.
Oh, thank you. That's actually quite reassuring to hear.
Is that, am I to take it you are comfortable with the reparations that have been granted to you?
I'm going to look at Aaron Dower and go, am I missing something here?
We are very thankful. Yes, thank you.
You all had the writs, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but of
looking
course,
around the others to see if
what we did was for the goodness of Indaros and not for personal gain.
Yes.
But we are thankful nonetheless.
Of course. Praise Ambria, praise Prios and the Queen.
I see.
All right. Well then, further to that, how did the rest of your day yesterday go?
May we, before we go into yesterday's events, may we perhaps have a name from yourself?
My name?
Or a name you would like to be called?
I've always been fond of Marlowe.
Marlowe.
Well, I suppose you'll be happy to hear we didn't have to do any major crimes yesterday. Although some were offered.
I think before we begin and we share this information, which I'm sure you can appreciate is very sensitive, do you have any proof for us of who you are, or that you do in fact represent
Our friends.
mutual friend?
The man known as Marlowe reaches into beneath his cloak and slides a piece of paper forward that it is a short piece of writing on it that names you all individually, and which has kind of a statement saying the bearer of this letter is a mutual friend of ours. Please speak to him as if you were speaking to me directly. And it is stamped with a waxen seal that is a flaming pine tree, circled by a larger emblazon of the sun, which Arendar, you certainly. I mean, the pine tree is House Kohinoor, and Arendar, you recognize the one. A pine tree set within a sun is Esmeralda's personal arms heraldry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I'll nod, hand it back, and say, I hope you aren't offended by our caution.
I appreciate your caution. And similarly, I have something you will appreciate here. He reaches in for another object and pushes it across the table with 2 fingers. It is a replica of that waxen seal, where a set of ribbons have been sealed within it. You have seen these before, but you don't really know what they do. I'm trying to think if any of you have had considerable dealings with nobles before, and I don't think any of you have, really. He says, if you wish to present yourself on behalf of our mutual friend, in the hope that you will gain egress to places, people, present this. Although our friend would like for me to make it clear to you that obviously this is not to be done if you feel that it would bring any undue attention or danger to our mutual friend. Having said that, you are not alone outside the cathedral. There is an association that people have already observed, not widely known around the city, but known to some. And if you were to use it simply to have reasonable conversations with people, I'm sure no harm would come of it.
That's very useful. Thank you.
Places like the Royal Secretarium, people like the Captain of the Guards, other locations, residences, noble manors.
I see. Thank you.
And now that I have satisfied your curiosity and granted you something, please tell me of the rest of what happened yesterday.
As a quick reminder from last session, there were a couple of things that we didn't mention, but I just want to double check what those were.
I didn't mention anything that any of us had taken. So I don't think I mentioned the key.
No.
I didn't mention the orb that
No.
Askrai has.
Or the statue.
Or the statue.
Yeah, the pendant of Lyra that Askrai also has, I think, but Steo picked up originally, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but maybe they knew that we had clues, so maybe the letter and maybe some of the evidence about House Fiara. Had we spoken about those?
We shared the letter and the dagger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, Esmeralda knows that the situation around the prisoner, or the question mark prisoner person under there, and she also knows that the House Viara may be linked in this, and she also knows there's someone there who shouldn't have been there. Although she might know more about that than you do from your encounter in that way.
Yeah. Okay. So we're on like reasonably safe ground, telling this person about our investigations from the letter, then, right?
Yes.
So. Cool.
Yeah, I will recount our trip to the bakery. The plob clue. I might say something about the noble bravery of the bakery goblin. And yeah, then I will recount the events in the bath, because the fact that Grimorio is involved in organized crime is probably not a secret. And I'm not keeping it a secret that I have an association with Vlador Moretko, because my association is through the Duchess's cousin. So I think that's probably fine.
You do you have a connection with Vlador Moretko? I ask only because you didn't mention Vlador Moretko to the dwarf. The dwarf who I made a roll before you talked to the dwarves. I decided, oh, fuck it, let's say there's 20 dwarf families in Inderos, and on a 20, these are dwarves of House Moretko, and I rolled a 20.
God damn it.
You didn't
hire us
mention
for
it
sneaky
at
stuff.
all.
But it's that thing of, like, if there are different families and they all hate each other, you don't want to go up to someone and say, hey, I'm friends with a member of your worst enemy.
Sure.
I'm with Aaron on that. It's. I think he probably did better to not name names.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just unlucky, but
So I think the plan, well, that's what we did. So I think the plan for today is to continue to find out where this plob is. Where does our mutual acquaintance stand with the Ordo Magica? We were going to make a call to them as well.
She has associations there, as many people in her position do. Is there anything in particular you wish to talk to them about?
I think we're looking right now for any lead possible that's going to get us to Plob 17. We thought that engaging with Grimorio was probably not the way to do that. Hence our investigations by the docks, but perhaps there are more straightforward ways to get maps or knowledge, and perhaps the Ordo might be one of those organizations.
I think the issue with your investigations is that fundamentally the dwarves of Inderos do not share much of their own information with Ambrians. I'm sure the Order Magica would love to have a dwarven map of the city, but I very much doubt that they do. In fact, I would say that the person you would wish to speak to more than any other is the dwarven architect responsible for converting much of the city's literal underworld to dwarven habitation. I could get you in contact with this individual, but I think that would be a case of work already done. That individual is called Artek Volotsar.
Ah.
The Patriarch is certainly more reliable and less dangerous. Less directly, viscerally dangerous than Grimorio by leaps and bounds. Do as you will, but I do think the notion of owing Patriarch Volotsar a large favor, which he will ask of you, is a great deal more preferable than setting half of Olkadizar on fire.
This was the conclusion that we also arrived at.
Then we are on the same page. A happy day.
When we spoke to our mutual acquaintance, we were obviously in some circumstances at that time being listened to. And when we mentioned what was House Viara, wasn't it? That's just out of character note. House Viara is, yes, it was. When we mentioned House Viara, she seemed quite cagey based on the evidence we had found, but seemed to be unable to elaborate. Can you give us some clue?
That's not the case. The thing she seemed to be lying about was knowing the mysterious extra individual in the cathedral. Nothing to do with House Viara.
Yeah, he was not connected with House Viara, but we think he was connected with
As far as
her.
you know.
Her
Well, in
fiancé.
that case, allow me to rephrase the question then. Was there any evidence of this being a Viara plot in its final stages, and should we be looking into that?
I believe that is what you're already looking into, is it not? You are finding the individuals responsible for this. You are chasing perhaps one of the reasons why it was committed, I would hasten to guess. But that does not mean necessarily you will stumble into the originators of this plan. As far as I see it, there are three big questions here. Who is the individual they have pulled from the wreckage of the cathedral? Who is responsible for this? And how did they do it?
Well, then, the Order Magic can help with the how, I imagine.
Perhaps so. This
Maybe
kind
the
of
who.
grand ritual magic has been forbidden by them for decades.
But I also think that, if I'm not mistaken, the head or senior member who died at the church seemed to have an idea of who this person was. Perhaps others within the Ordo Magica also know.
It is possible. I would say that due to Seldonio's death, the Ordo Magica is now in a frenzy of infighting. So, bear that in mind.
Power vacuums.
Well, we have 1.5 good contacts there, so it's probably still worth a call.
The other thing I would mention is that the Queen has placed the city into a state of emergency, as I'm sure you've heard. Father Matteo Brigo has been put in charge of the efforts to control the welfare of the city. Not a high-ranking member of the army or the Royal Secretarium. I'm unsure as to why this is the case, but in this new capacity, his first move beyond declaring a state of emergency has to be to call in 1,500 soldiers of the Army Reserve and to recruit roughly 500 retired war veterans to reinforce the city watch. Exactly what authority they have has not been announced yet, but it surely will soon. I would attempt not to make waves.
Would you believe that that has always been our plan from the beginning?
As far as I know, that is always everyone's plan. But things don't always go according to plan, do they?
And this Father Matteo, would he be someone who's known to be an ally of our mutual acquaintance, or?
Not exactly, no.
Understood.
Very well. As I say, I would try not to make waves, but also know that if any chaos caused remains within certain understandable parameters, our mutual friend is not without power in the city, but also does not particularly want to be linked to anything too nefarious. A balancing act, I understand that. And at the end of this, there will be further reward if the perpetrators are identified.
We will do our utmost to attempt swiftness and discretion.
I thoroughly
And
appreciate that.
to second Sir Dar's point, the finest reward we could hope for is the freedom to walk these great lands unencumbered.
I'm sure. If there is no objection, I will visit you every morning until our business is done. Oh, and
The breakfasts are very good here.
I visited Thistlehold once. I rather admired the pioneering spirit, civilization on the edge of the wild, so on. Thank you for saving it. He turns and goes out of the door, the servant's door.
That was very pleasant.
I knowing what I know about the city guard situation, I feel even better about not burning down that warehouse.
Yeah, that was the right choice. Thank you all for talking me out of that little... Look, as far as meetings with significant political overtones go, that was much more pleasant than that affair in the tent.
But what do we do with the rest of our day? We've got until the afternoon.
Ordo Magica.
Ordo Magica?
Order Magica, Royal Sectorium.
True, for the key maybe.
There's, if we're feeling bold, also a visit to House Viara, but
I think we need a more definite plan than just
we need questions to ask them that aren't, did you try and assassinate the Duchess?
Yeah, we don't have enough yet.
What do we know about the extra person, the Carvosti attaché?
That they had this key on them, that they are associated with Tharaban, that the Duchess may have known them or known extra information about them.
I wanted to ask our new friend, but it seemed a bit risky. Maybe tomorrow, if we think it's a good idea.
Well, I think it's going to take the Secretariat a day to track down the owner of that key, if it's even possible for them to do so, even with our fancy stick. So that's something we should drop in today.
I wonder. So, in this world and political climate, are cultural attaches prone to be nobles, or can they be anyone?
I would like to just. I don't object to the term attaché because it's kind of a catch-all of this person isn't necessarily with this culture or people, but they are here and seem to be working alongside them. But I would note that in no way do we know that this individual was an official attaché or envoy or diplomat at all. He could literally have just been an Ambrian who had become, for whatever reason, friends with Tharaban, useful to Tharaban. You really don't know how official his position at the Carvosti court, for want of a better word, was. So while I'm happy to call him an attaché, just in as a general, that's a word we can use for him. I would caution against going, okay, so he's an actual attaché. How does that give us information about him? Because maybe he was, but you do not know.
So reframing then, from either when we found his corpse or from when we saw him in Tharapan's halls, was he wearing any, like...
when you saw him with Tharaban, he was wearing clothes that you would, by gut, interpret to be high-ranking, expensive but practical Ambrian clothes that had been refitted slightly to be a bit less garish and alien to the eye for a barbarian clan, and a bit more practical for an existence in a slightly rougher place like Carvosti and the forest. So he looked to be in pricey clothes. Yeah.
We could ask questions about an Ambrian potential noble who has spent time living on Carvosti
Mhm.
Either barbarians or other nobles may be able to give information about that. And if we can find much about him, then we may be able to track down his family. Because there's the Hall of Knights that I've been meaning to visit anyway.
Those are all really good.
Yeah.
He
I would also, we're discussing it here. So I would also like, do we think we'd do a thing like put the key on the table and look at it? Just while we're talking about this kind of thing, like someone will be gesturing with it or something like that. Do we think that would be a thing?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah, why not?
Let's
Okay.
look at the
Bit of
key.
proppage.
As you're doing that, all of you, you know what? Actually, some of you, the ones of you who spent more time in certain Ambrian places. So everyone but Ascarai can give me a cunning roll, but Anton can do one as well, and Revelia.
Just straight cunning.
You know what? Let's slap a -2 on it because I'm a prick.
That's surprisingly a pass. 4 under 5.
Yeah,
Anton
Alindra
made it.
and Revelia both get it.
Okay, Steo. Steo is literally the only person that doesn't kind of occur to, and I will. It does occur to the other 4 of you, or 3 of you, as you're looking at it. Like, of course, it could be a key to any number of things, but a key with like the wooden fob on it, right, with an X on it, which could be a letter, or of course it could be a number as well. I mean, it's a weird thing because we always associate that obviously with numbers as well, but you know, Ambria didn't have the Roman Empire, but for whatever reason, I'm choosing to like say maybe Ambrians mark things in a slightly Roman style. Sure, let's say that it feels nice. Let's say that.
Well, they're as likely to have a Roman equivalent as they are to have an Arabic equivalent. Right?
as like a tallying. Yeah, the Roman method is better for tallying things. So
no, the Arabic method is the letters that we use, right?
Yeah, we use Arabic numerals. Yeah. I'm saying the Roman method is better for tallying. It's easier to write numbers and calculate in your head, as people would without electronic calculators. It's, I mean, it could, a locker is a good guess, or a lockup, the Ambrian equivalent of that. But you have all spent time in many places where you had very similar keys to this, and that is accommodation. Inns, taverns, hostels. You know, you don't have a key with a number on it here because of the weird way the tower functions. Every other inn or tavern or hostel or wherever you've stayed, you've had a key with a number on it. Doesn't mean it's definitely that, but it's very reminiscent.
That's interesting. That narrows things down somewhat, and it makes sense that somebody visiting Indaros would have accommodation somewhere.
It's early. I'm missing something. What about the key?
This looks like a key to a room in an inn or some other kind of accommodation.
Oh, I'm very stupid.
I think it's probably the ales last night.
Well, look, we are currently in an inn. Do you think, as a professional courtesy, there might be a slim chance that the receptionist would be able to figure out which particular entity this one belongs to?
Maybe.
Probably quicker than asking the Secretariat.
I mean, why would you visit an inn if you already own an inn?
Oh, Aaron. Corporate espionage.
There may be some gossip around where this like clansman groom to be was staying, and perhaps this person was staying at the same place.
Yeah. So we've 2 questions for our front desk then, and that's the closest and easiest place to ask.
We know that this guy is related. related, has some relationship with Tharaban, has some relationship with the Duchess's fiance, and we know that from visiting a city in the forest. It seems insane to me that this person wouldn't be known in Indaros, within the noble houses, within Esmeralda's circle, within any barbarian nobles. It's so strange. I can't get over how strange it is that Esmeralda pretended not to know him, because if he's working with I've forgotten the guy's name, Tharaban's son. What was his name?
I forgot his name as well.
Sorry.
No, I have also forgotten his name.
Fable.
Yeah.
Fable.
Look,
It just doesn't seem like it would have been a secret that he was around Thabor, and thus he would be around Esmeralda, and like, why would she not be like, oh, I know who that is?
Maybe
Yeah,
he
but
wasn't
if she was
supposed to be
being-
here.
He did
If
not
she was
look
being-
dressed as he wasn't dressed as a noble or a.
And he
If
was
she
on the
was being-
balcony. Sorry, Stio.
If she was being cagey about it, we should do her the gratuity of also being cagey about it. I think it's worthwhile asking where Fabor's entourage were staying and going to see if the key fits.
Yeah, he's not. We don't want to make a big noise about this, but I do really want to know what he was doing here.
If we can't find him today or information about him today, do we want to ask Marlowe tomorrow?
Maybe if we ask about Thabor, that might lead us to this person.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that they were staying. Thabor may have been in the palace.
Okay.
What was the name of the barbarian inn that I've forgotten her name, but Inadar's fiance?
Zoltar's Inn, it's called. It is a very upmarket inn, housed in a Lundarian ruin, and you don't know if it's. I mean, with a name like that, you would imagine it is barbarian run. Zoltar is the Zoltar. I'm getting so confused. I'm very tired. Zoltar is the name of her father. Is the name of the chieftain of Clan Vajvod. So you would imagine it's Vajvod run, but you really don't know.
We could go there to ask questions,
That
even
sounds
just
like
for a drink and a chat.
that sounds
Or
like an
just
excellent idea.
walk in with the key and see if any of the rooms match the description. Keep it sneaky to start with. That's great. Always BRB. I think we should pack up and get marching.
Given that we have some time to kill before this afternoon, where would we like to go first? The Three Towers or Zoltar's?
I think we go to Zoltar's.
I think we go to whichever's closest. Because as well, the Three Towers, I can see us going to the Three Towers and being like, come back later, we'll send them a message kind of thing.
Okay,
But
which
that
one's
does
closest
mean
then?
making Matt find both of those things on the map and figuring out the distance for us, which
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Matt.
That's a good question.
You could just flip a coin. It doesn't. It's.
No, unfortunately for reasons I can't. God, why did you list Zoltar's in detail and then not say where it is?
It's I remember you describing it at some point.
Yeah, it's
in the north. Well, hang on. That depends which map you're using.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Oh, maybe it is in the On the thing. Please be on the thing. Oh, some other stuff is on the thing as well. Okay, I was looking for that. Yeah, okay. So, all right. Now I've got to look at this massive map. Okay, I'm going to look at this massive map. And while I do that, I'm going to share it so that other people can be looking at this massive map. While I'm not that you'll be able to really see close enough to actually help me, but at least you've got context for what I'm doing.
The setup for this map has been such that I'm expecting at least one thing here to look like a giant willy.
If anyone's tuning in for the first time tonight, they're going to be so confused by what you just said. Okay, I know where Zoltar's Inn is. It's actually not far from the Cathedral of Martyrs.
Are we facing north or south here? I can't see.
We are facing south here.
Yeah.
The tower, as we've said before, is number 17, if you can perceive that. It's slap bang almost in the middle, just to the left of kind of the middle of the line down the page. You can see the tower, the taller building. Zoltar's Inn is just to the again, I'm going to confuse you. The cardinal directions are flipped, right? So you can see it in the top left. So Zoltar's Inn is just is kind of to the north of the Cathedral of Martyrs. And where was the other place you were talking about going? The Triple Towers?
Yeah.
That is Order Magica number 50. Yes, you can see that the Triple Towers is very close to the Cathedral of Martyrs. It's just to the east of it. Again, remember they're flipped. Marked as number 50, but you can see it as three very tall, thin towers.
Wow, they are equidistant, aren't they?
about roughly equidistant, yeah. So if that answers your question, I mean, someone mentioned going to the front desk and also asking just in case. I know. So there's that as well, and obviously Marlowe seemed quite keen that you did perhaps do House VR at some point, although you've kind of waved your hand a bit at that for the time being, which is understandable. Yeah.
Do we know where the depth of the Titans is?
That's a hell of a good question. And yes, it is on here.
16.
It is number 16. I don't know if you can see color that clearly on there, but it'll be ringed with green. Yeah, green. Number 16. God. This is making for excellent streaming.
Quality entertainment. Oh, I think I see it. I think there's the north-south street, just to the.
Right,
yeah. So it's not far. It's on the way to Zoltar's Tavern, and it's not far from where you are now.
Then let's do the three towers first, and then head north.
Bing, bing, bing. A nice little triangle.
Yeah. But maybe let's just take a second to ask at the front desk, because that might shortcut it.
Sure.
Okay.
So you gird yourselves ready for another day on the town. You head down in the elevator that the troll is hauling, and as soon as you hit the streets, there's a lot more people out on the street. It's not quite the same as the couple of first days you were here, but it's more like that than it was like yesterday, if that makes sense. So, way more than half the people are back out on the street. That's a good question from John in the chat. Is Revelia coming with us today?
That's a good question. I think Lindra will want to say no, but I think Revelia will be keen enough to come, but it will be hard to stop her.
Do we need to find
bits of her hanging off
on our way?
She's probably not ready to leap headlong into a fight, but she might be able to stand at the back and look mean.
Sure.
So,
now that a massive cataclysm hasn't happened today, we might be able to find another healer.
That's true. Yeah. I think we'll come out. We'll see if we can find some healers on the way.
So in the meantime, is someone going to go to the front desk with that key and ask around?
I'd like to do it.
Okay. then you can do so, Steo. You head in to the tower. That kind of the front desk. I think I've described it kind of like before. It seemed to be kind of run by an elderly couple, and one of them, the man, is behind the desk right now, along with a couple of other kind of staff who he's chatting amiably with as they do their duties. And as you kind of walk in, he turns and says, "Terrible tidings from yesterday, sir, but I hope, regardless, you have found your room satisfactory so far."
Oh, the room is exceptional. Thank you very much. We are, despite the effort, going out to do a little bit of tourism today, but I had some quick questions I wonder if you could help me with.
Of course, if I can, I will.
Do you know the hotel that the groom's party were going to be staying at for this event? As a hotelier, perhaps.
Oh, the poor barbarian prince Thabor was his name.
Thabor, yes.
When news of the wedding broke, it was quite the buzz among the community of owners of establishments like this, such as myself and my good lady wife. I'm afraid we were all denied it. The wedding party as a whole is staying either in their own manors or the palace or some such, as far as I'm aware.
Understandable. Well, and one other quick question, if you don't mind. We found this the other day in the street. It seems to be a hotel key. Do you know to which establishment it might belong? Again, hotelier to hotelier.
I'm going to try and find out what this guy's cunning is. I'm going to give him I think a hotel owner has a more than, in a world such as this, who has converted this large crumbling tower into an establishment, has a good chance to have a higher cunning than normal. I'm going to give him an extra 1 to 3 points of cunning. That's an extra 2 points. So let's say he has cunning of 12, Chris. And he's happy to answer the question for you if he can. So let's see if he knows. He kind of, may I have a look?
Certainly.
Yeah. Something about... yes. Yes, I recognize this. Made to look in emulation of places a little more, well, it doesn't behoove me to talk ill of my fellow establishment owners. The place that this belongs to, I believe, is the Seeker's Fortune. It's in Eastern Inderos. Let me actually try and find it on this thing. Yes, it is on there. And it said Eastern, so I'm sure. Ooh, it's very Eastern. And that also means something. Yeah.
I seem to recall the East End was rougher than the West End.
It's slums. Yeah. Quite far out into the east, I'm afraid, in perhaps a less salubrious place.
Oh dear. Well, I was planning on going that direction anyway, of course, as with most of us my age, our first taste of this great land was in those camps.
Of course.
But I will drop it in.
You've risen to the heights of the tower.
Through luck, if not design. Thank you very much, sir.
Of course. Have a good day.
I will plodder out.
Okay, as you're waiting for Steo to come out, the rest of you heard a town crier walk past with a different call today. Greater powers for the city watch. Individual watchmen must be obeyed. The state of emergency grants them impunity for actions performed in the line of duty.
Too real, Matt.
Not my fault.
I'll pop out and go, okay, it was the Seeker's Fortune. It's in the east. I think it was out by the camps. Aaron, do you know it?
Arindar, you know the Seeker's Fortune. It's a shithole.
I know it.
I guess if you're a person that wants to keep a low profile,
There's a lot to be said for getting their lickety split.
Yeah.
Agreed.
earlier rather than later.
Good
I'm
Brexit.
assuming
That was
you-
a great idea.
I'm assuming you've woken up relatively early in the morning. Like, I'm assuming maybe now it's about 9-ish. So if that's the case, you can definitely walk to the Seeker's Fortune, and then you could definitely make your appointment with Velotsar and have plenty of time to spare to maybe visit one or two other locations. So
Cool. Then
Unless, as Askrai, do you feel like looting this room while we go to the 3 towers?
I can. If we
I
want to
don't.
make good use of our time in a slightly riskier fashion, then sounds good. But
I think this lead is more important than visiting the Order Magica.
Yes, and
Okay.
potentially more time sensitive, and probably something that we should all go do together.
Here, Askrai, you take the key. We'll go in. You just walk in like you own the place. Go find the room. Loot it. We'll have a pint.
I might be able to look like the guy, but I don't know if that's a thing we want to do.
Just
It's
look
just-
like you're staying there, or that you know
Yeah,
where you're
just
going.
look like you're staying there. You don't have to look like anyone. You just have to have a key. I don't think they're going to be doing security checks in a place like this.
All right. Let's go.
It's just going to be easier than 5 people walking into one room.
okay, you set off from the tower then and walk through the streets of Indaros. To take you directly there, you pass through the harbour district, which is not quite bustling, but certainly getting there, and on into the labourers district, where it looks like the same amount of people on the street as yesterday. People need to work. They need to go do their jobs, and even more so, the people employing them desperately want them to do that. You travel through the labourers district over the next half an hour, 45 minutes or so, until the buildings around you start to become more crumbled, more tumble down, kind of full of impromptu tent houses or kind of very bodged repair jobs on roofs and walls. And very soon you are walking through what can only be described as slums. It makes up, along with the refugee camp, a vast amount of area of the city, maybe even a quarter or so. And it is full of people, Ambrians, barbarians, goblins, ogres, dwarves are scattered around, changelings. It's a heaving mass of people. You're surrounded at all times by people asking you for money, donations. Every now and then you see a group of theurgs, or at least members of the Sun Church, going about their business. Some of them seem to be moving through and trying to ignore as many people as possible, but you do see something that looks kind of like a soup kitchen. It looks almost like similar to Sarvola's mission in Thistlehold used to. Another thing you see a hell of a lot of are guards, many of whom are carrying like a very impromptu looking drape of the arms of Indaros over them, but do not have any kind of standardized uniform underneath. These are presumably the people from the army reserves and the veterans brought on by Father Brigo in his efforts to curtail violence, looting, unrest in the city. You do not have to go far in the slum district to see examples of them throwing their weight around a little bit. You see a couple of people shoved in the streets. You see at least one person being dragged off, objecting that they haven't done anything. Although they do have quite a lot of blood on them, and it doesn't look like theirs. So you're not sure entirely how innocent they may or may not be. The other thing that you notice from this area is, other parts of Indaros smell. The smell here is different. It is unwashed sweat and the odor of a great many people living in an incredible proximity to each other. Arindar grew up here. The rest of you have not encountered anything like this before. Askarai, I would expect you to be having something akin to culture shock. Steo?
So I was actually going to ask, because obviously Steo crossed the Titans and arrived in Yindros, the camps in Yindros, a long time ago. So I'd be interested to hear how things have changed.
Like
just for
nearly,
colour.
probably about 20 years ago, right? I mean, the slums and the camps here were nothing like this then. They had, it was a lot smaller, and there were parts of it a bit like this, but it was mostly large, intentional tents meant to house people as they came over the Titans. There were still nobles traveling. There were still, you know, people of means traveling. This is a great deal more unpleasant and dour than your brief time here before you moved on to. We've never really penciled out where you went between your brief time in Indaros and Thistlehold, because of course Thistlehold wouldn't be built for another 10-ish years by the time you left Indaros. So maybe a question for another day. But yeah.
How does it compare to the slums outside Thistlehold?
It's called
Blackthorn,
Blackhold? Oh my god, how do we not remember?
The fact that we can't
on the
remember.
map.
It's probably on the map. But yeah, the refugee camp outside Thistlehold. It's definitely comparable. There's two things. Number one, a great deal of this looks more permanent. The refugee camp outside, someone give me the name of it. Like what?
Blackmore.
Blackmore it does have a central village area of the actual village of Blackmore. But all the kind of actual refugee area is just ramshackle tents. There is an area like that further to the south here that you're not going through, but so much here is they're slums, right? These aren't meant to be temporary. This is just where people live. So there's that aspect. And the other aspect is that the slum district alone that you're walking through, so not including the refugee camp, is probably, God, I don't know, 20 times the size of Blackmore. It is a completely different scale.
Yeah.
And that's just the slum district, not the refugee camp. The slums are bigger than this is a kind of out of character. The refugee camp is probably about 2/3 the size of the slum district.
Okay.
What is this place? Why do people stay here like this?
This is what happens when you're forced to leave your homeland en masse, Askrai. But Aaron, you tell me this, why didn't it get better?
Why would it?
Oh.
Why don't people leave?
Well, there's
Go
not
where?
really anywhere to
Blackmore,
go.
the forest?
Anywhere.
It's more about where they've come from, Askrai. I hope you don't have to see it. Alberator is dead. This place, it's a wreck, but it's better than dying in grey fields.
If you're lucky enough to get a job in the rest of the city, then eventually you can move further west. But I mean, why would you hire someone from here when you could hire someone from the rest of the city?
As you are talking about this, a funeral procession goes past you. A young man being held aloft on a slightly bent and warped piece of wood, while a family walks behind him. They're not crying; they look stoic.
Grim days indeed.
After too long of this, you arrive at the at the tavern. You arrive at the Seeker's Fortune. It is almost to the river that travels south from the Doodrum. The like much shorter river, not shorter, narrower river, but not quite on the edge of it. It is a slightly larger establishment than most of you would have expected, maybe. But it does look. It's one of the few buildings here that isn't partly tent work or improvised wood and brick piled on top of each other. But it looks like maybe at one point it was a fairly reputable inn, but it has since gone badly to seed. Part of the roof seems to be collapsing in one part, and most of the windows are either boarded up or cracked. There are a great many individuals either drinking or drunk or dead drunk outside it, many of whom level wary or belligerent glances at you as you approach, but at the sight perhaps of Steel and Elindra in their plate armor and large weapons, most of the individuals take care to look away after their initial glances are registered.
Actually, I would like to kind of duck around the side of this building and is going to try to shapeshift to look like somebody else.
Just an Ambrian.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make the roll.
Okay. Yeah, that is a 10, which just makes it.
Yep. You walk out from the side. Obviously, you're still wearing the same clothes, but presumably maskless. You look like the most anonymous Ambrian man you can imagine.
Okay.
You look like a video game protagonist.
All right. I'm going to go and try and find this room. Well,
God, that's disconcerting. Yeah, we will...
You all waiting outside?
If he has to go, I guess it depends on the layout of the place, but if it looks like the kind of place where you would go inside to access the rooms, I think we might go inside to...
Yeah. I would say it looks rough.
That's fine. That means we can cause a distraction if we need to.
Oh, yeah. I more meant... I'm not saying, ooh, it looks rough, you shouldn't go in. I'm saying, like, sending in Askarai alone may or may not be the call.
I think we need to be able to keep an eye on him and as well until he disappears, and we want to be able to create a distraction if one is required.
Yeah.
Maybe Aaron will hand his family sword over to Steo and take his like slightly fancy looking scarf and silver pin off. I could go with Askarai.
Yeah. Do you have your family sword on you? That's not the one you duel with, is it?
No. I just have that.
You carry it on you. Okay.
It's basically my sign of office. Like it's the only proof I have that I'm Dar. So
see, in my head, I'm going to be a prick and just go, what do you do with it when you are fighting? You definitely wouldn't want a sword dangling down, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, I already have my scabbard there. So is the sword going to take up much more effort than my scabbard?
When you draw a sword from a scabbard while fighting, you drop the scabbard.
Oh.
You don't leave it down for your feet to get tangled in.
But do we do that in RPG land?
Oh, well, maybe not. I don't know. But that's what you do in real life.
Certainly.
But
not
then
what
also
we used to do in LARP land, those scabbards are expensive.
Also, if you wear a scabbard at your hip, you're probably not intending to fight, because that's not where you carry a sword if you're intending to fight with it. Anyway, ignore me. So you walk into the Seeker's Fortune. It is as rough inside as it was outside. It stinks in here of bad alcohol, unwashed bodies, and slightly of excrements. You're not sure whether it's animal or human. There is a decrepit set of stairs at the back leading upwards. There is a large individual sat by those stairs, kind of looking bored and leaning over. He has an extremely large metal-studded cudgel on his knees in front of him. everyone looks at you when you walk in, as they did outside, and they have a similar reaction. A few of them keep staring, who maybe don't have the correct amount of fight or flight response in their brain. But others look away quite quickly. And in fact, you know what? Let's a large scarred woman sitting at the bar kind of looks around and stares at you as you come in, and then kind of glances over the rest of the bar, which is people are sat there or slumped on there and just kind of nudges the man next to her, who makes a grunt, and then she kind of like kicks the back of his knee and pushes him over and pulls the stool aside and looks back a little worse for wear herself and says, "Make room for the priest. He's a man of Prios. Not like you wretches, all of you. I'll kill you all with one hand behind my back." Knowing no one is arguing with this. Whether they agree or they're just used to it, you don't know. But Anton
go up.
is kind of like, "Thank you," doing his best. "I'm definitely used to this environment," act.
I don't know about Anton, but I can literally imagine Mike in this situation, and it's a fantastic visual.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and order a round of N-1 pints, because Askrai is not part of our party. And I'm going to just make a quick bit of small talk and inquire how much it would cost for 4 rooms, and do they do no questions asked?
I was also going to go with Askari, remember?
And
Oh, yeah,
-2.
sorry, -2 then.
Elidra request whatever, like of Fistio to order whatever he thinks is least likely to make us go blind.
I mean, small beer is always going to have a low amount of alcohol in it.
It is the morning, isn't it? I think it probably is a small beer.
But of course, the lower amount of alcohol in a place like this,
The higher the amount
might
of
make you less
fecals.
blind. Yeah, but far more likely to give you horrible poisoning.
But that's the point of the beer, right?
Sure, yeah. Look, a small amount of alcohol can only deal with so much. But yes, that indeed was the point of beer. Stop diverting me onto historical tangents. So, Aaron and Askarai, what are you going to do then while the others make themselves at home?
I think we might walk in like a little bit apart from them time-wise, like a minute or two afterwards, and then head straight for what looks like where the rooms are.
Those stairs
There's
up.
upstairs.
Yeah. Okay. You do so, presumably with some confidence. Can you give me a discrete roll, please, at -5? I need you both to make it.
At -5 now. I rolled a 9, needed an 8.
Vaskarai hasn't done it. Arendar's got no fucking chance.
I needed a 4 and I rolled a 16.
Okay. Close again then. So you wander over, and as you go straight up to the stairs, the large individual with the cudgel kind of lazily leans it across to bar your way and kind of peers at you and says, "Don't know you. What number?"
I will just take out the key and kind of jangle it in front of them.
10. You one of Gander's mates, are you?
Yeah, just had to pick something up.
Yeah. He didn't have any mates. Is he dead?
Doesn't
I'm just here
matter.
to pick something up.
Might matter, might not matter. Either way, I don't believe you. Is he dead? Because that's the only way I think you're coming here with that key. Or he dropped it. Drunk, probably. Calculus.
Look, we need to get to this room. I'll give you a thala if you just let us past. We've got the key.
Do you say that loud or quiet?
Well, attempting so that only this person can hear us, but
Fria, shit, you will. Show me it.
get our thala.
Fuck. Do you want to know anything?
Everything you know about Gander.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he called himself that. He arrived about 10 days ago. He liked brute brew, strong spirits, drank himself into a stupor a few times, picked fights with other guests. Could be a laugh as well. One night he got real wasted, started running his mouth about his big secret carnal relations with the Queen. He claimed to be secretly engaged to a madman, called her the Black Queen, said he was the Prince of Darkness, said he'd be king soon, then emperor, sobbing, roaring, singing pretty little love songs. That's it. If he's dead, I won't mourn him. You want us to look in his room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then. Give me that thala.
I give him the thala.
And
Looks around very cautiously but obviously and pockets it.
I think it's safe to say that Thala also buys some discretion. Yeah?
I'm not telling nobody where I got this. He kind of gestures up the stairs behind him.
Head up. Probably at the top of the stairs, look down and be like, holy shit. I don't know if that's true, but it's an interesting lead.
Yeah.
It seems fairly unlikely to be true, but hey, stranger things have happened. You find the room very easily. The door is technically locked, would be the best way to put it. You're pretty sure a harsh shove would open it, but nevertheless, the key works. And you enter what is an unpleasant little chamber. Yeah.
Have a look around for anything left here that might be of interest to us.
Mm-hmm. So you find literally the only thing which is not just stock room stuff, like a pallet and a couple of bits of battered furniture that you can immediately see in the room. There is a stove, a very basic stove, but one that looks somewhat functional, with a rusted pipe leading up into the roof to get rid of the smoke from it. But also there is the only item that you can see is a stained copper goblet that is sat on what passes for a bedside table, which is really more like a stool.
That's odd.
Yeah. He didn't have anything on him. Well, other than the key. So where's all this stuff?
Maybe he was just using this as a storeroom and was staying somewhere else.
It sounds. I mean, the person downstairs knew a bit about him. Sounded like he'd been here quite a bit. 10 days.
10 days.
I'm gonna search all around the room just to see if there's any like stowaway stuff, any hidden stuff.
Absolutely. I tell you, no one is investigating the copper goblet in any way. Then,
Well, I think I will.
okay, fair enough. It looks like a pretty basic copper goblet. Like I say, it's stained with something. You're not sure what. As for Ascarite, do you want to give me a vigilant roll, please?
That is a 13, which makes it.
Okay. It also occurs to me that this is a handout that I haven't clipped because I did not. Not that I didn't anticipate you getting here today, but I just never. It didn't occur to me to do it. So let me get this handout sorted first. So I feel the hand of time upon me. Why is it doing that? Okay.
Is no one else going to put the man out of his misery and do some small talk, for the love of God?
Yeah, please. That would be appreciated.
What's that on that goblet?
I can't tell.
You've got beast law, right, Ascarai?
Yeah.
Roll cunning.
Okay.
Doesn't look like a spirit, though.
Oh, that is a 2, which makes it.
It's blood.
Looks like blood to me.
It's on the inside of the goblet.
Is that guy drinking blood?
I don't like that, Ascarai.
I don't like that either.
Meanwhile, downstairs,
Elidra is arm wrestling the woman that got the.
Sure.
I think kind of
Roll strength.
Sure.
Flat.
Just because it's just a friendly thing to do, isn't it? I pass.
Yeah, you win, but only just. Right. Who wants the job of reading out a slightly embarrassing love letter? John
You know
or
what?
Sam?
My throat's feeling better. I'll do it.
Thank God.
Oh, God, I can't read that from here. Okay.
I'll
Oh,
post it.
no, I just read it.
Do you want me to post it in the Discord?
No,
Okay.
I regret volunteering for this.
Mm-hmm. Wait till you reach the last line.
No, that's the bit I've read.
Okay.
I cannot stand it. The longing consumes me. I long to share the darkness with you, to feel your warmth, your claws against my skin, your teeth against my neck. I long to stand beside you before the world, our souls as openly black as the dress you will be wearing. I long for the day when we, the sacred of the old blood, shall drown the world in our shadow, claiming every corner of the realm. I long for the end of secrecy, for the moment when we all shall meet and begin our mission to ennoble the already noble blood of our kingdom. Ennoble it, or let it fill us with nourishment and strength. I am your dark prince, and I am yours forever, forever and ever. I want to fill you. W.
You'll never know what with. This was found crumpled up behind the stove, Ascarai.
God. This is lame. But also interesting.
Oh my God. This is so teenage.
I mean, maybe all that stuff that the person downstairs told us was something, but I can't imagine this is to the Queen. But, well, I don't know. Also, W, that's not There's no W's in gander.
Or maybe
What?
it was an interrupted word. I want to fill you with
True.
Yeah.
something.
I think that's probably the case. It definitely doesn't look like it's been signed.
Okay.
At first, I thought he'd maybe drawn a heart, but that didn't really fit with the rest of the tone.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think that's as close as we're getting to a cliffhanger tonight. Our cliffhanger was John has to read the love letter that ends just before it gets real nasty. So there we go. That's the end of Symbaroum for the night. Delightful. As per usual, sling your comments and questions into the chat and we will address them. And as usual, thanks to my wonderful players. Our schedule is a bit off the rails at the moment. People have probably noticed we didn't really stick the landing of 2025. And who can blame us? Look around at 2025. But regardless of that, stick with us and we'll hopefully get to a more manageable schedule. Masks on Monday won't return until the week after next now, I believe. And I have Yellow King penciled in for a return next week. Flip a coin. We'll see if that happens, but hopefully Symbaroum will be back on an even keel at least. And there's that one shot of Electric State on the horizon as well. But honestly, who knows? Who the fuck knows? In the meantime, check out our links below. Maybe there's something there to interest you. Maybe you are absolutely excited at the prospect of paying us money on Patreon to support this incredibly inconsistent delivery schedule of our content that we're giving you. If so, bless you. Truly, bless you. There we go. All right, start slinging stuff on screen, please, John, and let's get this over and done with.
I'm just happy that we finally uncovered the big bad of the scenario, and that is some goths.
One of whom is the Queen.
Some teenage goths. I mean, taking your bets on the chances that this is well, it being written to the Queen and the Queen knowing anything about it are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
I leave notes like this in hotel rooms all the time.
Yeah,
just in case the next person in that comes and stays in the room gets investigated.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, you know, it's I think there's relatively better chances, you know, all things speaking, that this guy's a crazy fucking stalker than somehow he's staying here and is also having an affair with the Queen.
Or you're just trying to throw us off the scent.
Maybe it's what I do.
We've only met the Queen the once, but I feel like she could do better.
The gutter vampire.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've got to give the reactions to the cliffhanger first off.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Spicy. Thank you, Robstar. So emo vampire from 42. I really liked Steve's that he put in there. I did notice that. Cringe hanger. Like it.
Classic.
Like it.
I'm so glad John volunteered.
I do like the way that this campaign has that ability to just kind of change on a dime, right?
Yeah, 10 minutes ago we were feeling really bad about the societal situation of the slum district, and
now it's cringe vampire love letter.
I was on the spot improvising a bleak funeral procession moment to hammer the point home. And now here we are with I would say the two differences is I did that first bit, and this bit is from the book.
Oh my God. The sass! The sass! They're literally paying our salaries.
I hope you're happy with yourselves, Free League.
Oh my God.
Look, all I'm saying is someone had to write that. You know what I mean?
I don't think they were happy about it, just on how the prose is. I feel like this...
But, you know,
I don't look, let me make it clear. I don't think they wrote it and went, this is a really good level. You know what I mean? They knew the brief and they executed it.
But yeah, the campaign's been to a lot of places, but this is the first time that it's been here.
Yeah. And Prios willing the last.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We have this from earlier in the evening.
Don't kick food. Indaros, Lindaros, Elindaros. Elindaros will be the name of another quest giver. Go with Elmendra. I mean, all the A's and E's. That's all they ever are.
Oh, when you picked the name for the attaché, you were an absolute coward for not calling him Beramo.
Why do you think I didn't pick the name for him?
Oh, it sounds like you were pausing to make one up.
No.
Okay.
No, it's all from the thing. I add flavor, but I don't really make up entire subplots.
How dare you slander the good name of Beramo like that, Chris?
Beramo has no name. He has no
Yes,
reputation.
It's Beramo.
No personality. No, he's nothing.
And that's why we like him.
Yeah,
Beramo,
he's an uncomplicated figure in a complicated world.
If you actually translate Beramo ethnographically into English, it actually translates as Nemo. He's nothing.
Still my favorite is what he is.
Zero.
So he's the potential subject of a very popular Pixar film, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was referencing. That's what I was referencing. That's definitely what I was referencing.
That is now the title of the campaign.
That's the next arc for sure. As soon as we're out of Indaros, finding Beramo.
I'll be stepping away for that arc, and someone else will be subbing in. Iridescent area. My character's favorite color is mauve. Mauve.
Meow.
I don't think I've said that out loud in my entire life, so that's probably why I didn't know how to pronounce it.
It's not a color that comes up very often, is it?
No.
Depends how much you like mauve.
It's one of those colors like beige and puce that's notorious for being that no one likes it. Right? I don't know, no one.
No, it's
boring.
Beige is really big at the moment. Beige and grey is the millennial interior decoration trend.
I think mauve is
but the whole point of all decoration trends these days is to just be as neutral as possible so that you can sell the house on. Like, I don't think that's a recommendation of the color.
Also, in fairness, like the only two colors most of us can name are black and band logo.
I think you're doing mauve dirty here. Like, I think it's way more wizardy and mysterious.
I'm gonna
got a good name.
It's okay, actually. It's okay. It's kind of like it's basically lilac, right?
How many of you are googling mauve?
Yeah,
I'm googling mauve.
Goth lilac.
Yeah, it's between lilac and violet. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's a pinkish purple. Yeah, it's okay. All right. I'll lay off mauve. All right, I'll lay off mauve.
I can't believe you just viciously attack mauve like that.
This is the wedge issue. No, we got him. If we can get him to lay off mauve, eventually we can get him to lay off Beramo.
Beramo.
Okay. Oh no.
End the stream. We've peaked. That's it. Yes. Airhorn.wav. Let's go. Esports.
Oh, more than anything, I wish I wasn't here. So, I don't mean that. Beige is popular. You'll think again. I don't think I've ever said this word out loud. Taupe. I think it's taupe. I think it's taupe. Answers on a postcard.
Let us know in the comments below.
I mean, yeah. All right. Let's wrap that one up. Thanks for watching, folks. As always, thanks to all of you. Thanks to the players. And we'll hopefully see you next week for more Symbaroum. Catch you later, folks. Take care. Stay safe, etc., etc. Goodbye.